Today's video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Get unrestricted access to worldwide content at expressvpn.com/inside. Every once in a while, we try to spotlight a game that you haven't heard of or that you might have heard some buzz about, but maybe not enough to know exactly what it is. So this week, we're dropping a quick rundown of a game called Scavengers, which just hit early access on Steam and the Epic Games Store at the start of the month, and it's free. At first glance, Scavengers looks like it's chasing the Battle Royale craze, but it actually falls more in line with something like the Dark Zones and the Division games, but on a much larger and more dynamic scale. To simplify, the developers, Midwinter Entertainment, are calling Scavengers a PvEVP survival shooter. I know that's a lot. In short, you play cooperatively with 2 players to complete objectives and find loot while fighting your way through AI-controlled factions, as well as 19 other teams of real-life players. There are also food, warmth, and extreme weather systems which play into the survival aspect of the game. The narrative premise of Scavengers is that an asteroid has shattered the moon, and now the Earth is ravaged by Arctic storms, as well as an alien virus that has been corrupting life across the planet. You play as one of the last surviving humans, tasked with venturing down to the Earth's surface to capture crucial data points needed for curing the virus and eventually returning humanity to its home. During each match, you are competing against all the other teams of players to collect the most data and then reach a centralized extraction point, which is a ship that leaves Earth after the match time runs out. The better you do, the more experience you are rewarded, which allows you to level up and unlock the ability to craft new weapons and loadouts using scrap that you get from around the world or fighting enemies. For now, Scavengers only has the one map, but the game is doing some pretty interesting things with it. While there are fixed locations, the types of enemy factions that spawn nearby or within data point outposts are randomized. There are also a variety of objectives like repairing broken down vehicles and emergent events that are meant to shake things up. Storms in the game can have you searching for the nearest fire to gain warmth, but there's also a fun risk element to them. You can use a storm to your advantage by covering your approach or more easily taking out players who get caught out in the cold. Lastly, rare salvage drops are scattered throughout each match, but you can only carry 1 crate worth and you have to safely make it to the extraction point and survive to keep it. See, it's just like Dark Zones in the Division. To top things off, you can also choose between a number of characters called Explorers, which each have their own unique ability and a unique weapon that they can craft during a match. Currently, there are only 7 explorers, but Midwinter Entertainment says there are a lot more on the way in addition to new objectives, map locations, and modes as they continue to build out the game. It's not hard to see there are a number of elements at play here, which gives Scavengers a lot of potential to stand on its own and become a fairly unique multiplayer experience. As for the reception of the early access version of the game, so far user reviews are fairly mixed. Generally speaking, players who have had a bad time with the game are frustrated with its progression systems, time gating like you might find in a lot of mobile games. You may have enough resources to research and upgrade, but the research itself kicks off a timer and you just have to wait for reasons made not entirely clear. Also, there are some concerns around balance since you do have to survive encounters with players on the extraction ship in order to keep your loot. If you die in the last few minutes of a game, your whole match could feel like a waste of time. This type of progression rewards better players who ultimately will climb their levels faster, in turn making it harder for new players to pick up the game. On the other hand, Scavengers has only been in early access for 2 weeks and it's already racked up over 5,000 user reviews on Steam. So people are playing the game and even negative reviewers are saying there's a lot of potential within. So is Scavengers the next Fortnite, PUBG, or even Apex? Definitely not, but we might see a development arc more similar to Warframe's where a big update or patch really elevates the game, meaning Scavengers' success at this point will heavily depend on how the developers at Midwinter Entertainment interpret player feedback and in turn make meaningful changes to the core experience. Or it could just be a matter of time before the game gets polished enough for a big streamer to pick it up and have a good time, and then we all know how it goes from there. But what do you think? Have you played Scavengers yet? Does it look like the type of game you'd be interested in playing right away to get on the ground floor before it does get really popular, or do you prefer to wait for early access to run its course and give unproven games a better chance at a first impression? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.